La fotografia è il diario su cui appunto le mie emozioni. La fotografia per me è la rappresentazione dei sentimenti e della passione per la vita. Quello spirito di avventura che ti spinge alla scoperta del mondo, ma anche, in qualche modo, ad andare alla ricerca di te stesso. Quella quadrata è una fotografia per sottrazione, che mi permette di fare ordine, di inserire pochi elementi e di arrivare più facilmente all'essenza delle cose. Essere un fotografo documentarista significa investigare la realtà e raccontare attraverso le immagini le storie di cui si è testimoni, divenendo spesso la voce di persone e comunità di cui il mondo sembra volersi dimenticare. Il progetto più importante che ho realizzato è sicuramente HABIBI, il racconto di una storia d'amore ambientato nel conflitto israelo-palestinese, che ha ricevuto numerosi riconoscimenti internazionali. In particolare è stata la storia dell'anno del WordPress Photo 2021 e primo premio nella categoria Long Term Projects. Ho cercato di raccontare quella dolcezza e quel senso di appartenenza collettiva che ho vissuto sulla mia pelle andando a realizzare questo lavoro ed incontrando le famiglie. Uno degli aspetti più complessi che ho dovuto affrontare per realizzare questo progetto è stato realizzare delle immagini che raccontassero elementi invisibili come l'assenza, la malinconia, i sentimenti di attesa che provano queste donne nei confronti dei loro mariti. Grazie al supporto di FotoEvidence del WordPress Photo, nell'aprile del 2020 HABIBI è diventato anche un libro, con l'editing di Leen e la grafica di Ramon. HABIBI è un progetto fotografico che parla di passato, presente, ma anche di futuro. La presenza di questi bambini è un messaggio di positività e speranza. La fotografia è guardare oltre il visibile.
I wanted to ask you if you would just start at the beginning and tell us how you found the story for HABIBI. How did this all begin for you?
I found this story because in 2008 I was there during the Operation Cast Lead, the first war after the Second Intifada. And after this experience that really asked me, I decided to continue following some stories about the condition of Palestinian. And then I discovered when I was at home that the 40% in the refugee camp, the men in the refugee camp were arrested. So I was curious to understand how can continue the life of these families, how can they find a solution to this absence. So following the story of the families, in 2014, a friend of mine is an Italian photographer, Pietro Masturzo, who won the WordPress Photo of the Year in 2011. He advised me there is a good story, a special story connected with these families. So January 2015, I started following and trying to put me in contact with the families. It's not, at that time, wasn't easy because I am a Western man. Completely different from the people there. I come from a different culture, so I had to gain their trust. And the first solution was asking to be introduced by an NGO. The name of this NGO is the Prisoners Club. They help the families and the prisoners. So I started the project slowly, giving the time to the families to be accepted in their homes. And then I carry out the story meeting around 18 families. And yeah, this is the one of the nice part of this story is one day, just walking on the streets, I met a guy with a camera. He stopped at me and asked me for a picture. I don't know, I didn't understand why. Just 2 days after, I discovered that the guy worked for the local newspaper, and he published my intention with my portrait. So after that, I can show something to the families in their language with my picture, so they can understand much better my intention, my purpose with this project. And it helped me a lot. It was a nice story. I was really lucky.
Antonio, as a man working on this story, did you have any special challenges? And did you have to get the husband's permission to take pictures of their families?
Yeah, every time I meet a woman, I had to ask the permission to the prisoner and to the family of the prisoner and to the family of the wife. And just the last one is the wife who can reply yes or not. But this is their culture, their procedure. So for me, it's nothing so strange. It's just the local rules. And for example, with the Rimawi family, the family that we are really close now. I feel myself a family member. First, I had to gain the trust with the uncle of the child. So I met Lydia during the day of the visit to the jail, and we shared the bus until the border. But after this first meeting, public meeting, I couldn't go back in the home and spend time with them. I had to ask the permission to her brother. So I spent 2 or 3 days with Madsen, that later became one of the witnesses of my project. And we shared coffee, cigarettes, and a lot of time together. So we became friends. And then I was allowed to spend all the time I want with them, in their family, in the house, without men around us. I can go and stay with Lydia. It was really nice.
Was it difficult to get access to the sensitive parts of the story, and like also getting access to the in vitro clinic?
The in vitro clinic is, there are 2 clinics in Palestine who are able to make this kind of treatments. And I went to the Razan Fertility Center in Nablus, and also they helped me to meet some women, and gave me the chance to take this picture about the chocolate bar. Also, this photo wasn't easy because the family usually. Sorry. Usually, the family don't advise the hospital that they are going to do this kind of procedure. So I spent a couple of weeks sitting on a chair waiting for maybe someone will come with a chocolate bar with a tube. So I feel myself really stressed about the situation because I'm spending 2 weeks here. I'm not going to take some other kind of pictures. And I don't know if I will have something. So it was like a lottery.
Yeah. So you had to
Antonio,
be very patient. Hmm.
Yeah.
and Antonio, what exactly is the chocolate bar? Could you tell us more?
So about the chocolate bar, okay.
Yeah.
This is one of the funny way the Palestinian prisoners found to put out their sperm inside the tubes from the jail. So there is a law, an Israeli law. The prisoners could meet in person just their child under the 6th age. So during this meeting, they can give to their child some gifts. And they, in the first years, they hidden the pen tubes inside the chocolate bars and gave them to their children as a gift. And this is one of the ways they found to have new children and give the chance to their wives to make the in vitro, to do the in vitro fertilization.
Thank
This
you.
is the reason because I wait for a long time to have one of these pictures. And I didn't have so many chance and too much time to take a picture because they are afraid that maybe the sperm could die. So I have just 30 seconds to take this one.
So this is, you were talking about Lydia and the Rumawi family. So this is Lydia and Majid. How old is Majid now?
Now he's 7 years old. So that means he couldn't meet anymore his father.
Oh, okay. Because he's too old now. to
Yeah.
go into prison. About how many children do you think have been born through this process?
Officially, they are 96, but
96.
we know that there are more that want the family will, they are unknown. So we can say more than 100 for sure.
Mhm. We have a nice video here. I'm gonna cross my fingers I can get it to play all the way through from Lydia, and it's subtitled.
طبعا أنطونيو أول ما حكى معنا إنه بده يصور قصة مجد لأنه كانت تاني نطفة مهربة وحكى معنا إنه بده يكملها ل7 سنين يعيش معنا طول فترة ال7 سنين. فترة ال7 سنين كان أنطونيو جزء منا وكانت الرسالة اللي وصلها للعالم من خلال كتابه إنه كانت رسالة عبرت عن حال الفلسطيني وعن الأسرى بشكل عام وعن المعاناة اللي بيعانوها. الصور كانت أول مرة بنتصور مثل هيك صور. فرحنا كثير إنه كنا حابين نساعد أنطونيو قد ما نقدر على إنه يكون صوره مميزة وغريبة وشو يطلب منا كنا نعمل له. فرحنا كثير إنه لما نجح الكتاب ووصل للعالم كله. إحنا وصلنا للعالم كله من خلال أنطونيو. قدم الرسالة بشكل جيد ممتاز يعني ونتمنى له التوفيق في كل المجالات. بس احنا انقطعنا عنه وبنتمنى انه نشوفه ويكون معنا ويكون بيننا زي اي سنة من هاي السنين. حتى مجد يعني كل سنة كان نستنى أنطونيو انه يجي يزورنا ويقدم الرسالة اللي هو بيشتغل عليها. السنة هاي ما اجاش لسبب ظروف كورونا، فبنتمنى انه هذا الوباء يزول ونرجع نشوفه كمان مرة ونبارك له بنجاحه وبالكتاب اللي حصل عليه والجائزة اللي حصل عليها.
So great to have that video. Thanks, Antonio, for getting it. When was the last time you saw the family?
1 year ago.
1 year ago.
Yeah, because until July, the situation in Palestine about the pandemic, the COVID, then was quite calm. But after that, the situation is really terrible because they don't have, for sure, drugs, medicine, but also they couldn't do the COVID test, so they are not able to stop the situation.
So
hope to go back soon.
Yeah, I'm sure that would be excellent. Since you were not allowed to photograph any of the prisoners or go into the prisons, I'm sure, how did you think about bringing the husbands and the prisoners into the story visually?
I think when I tried many times to be allowed to enter the jail. One time I asked directly to the prime minister through a person working in Palestine. But then maybe was I was lucky because was a big challenge finding a solution because I can't go over this wall. I can't enter the jail. So it was really a big challenge. I had to show in my picture their presence, that their absence at the same time they are still there, and the family had the opposite feelings like me. I mean, sometimes they feel melancholy because they are losing something in their life, and other times, for example, for the picture that we are watching on the left, they have the feelings that the father is there, is still there. They are waiting for his return. And and I realized that this is an important topic, and this project changed my photography. Or maybe I discover who I am thanks to this project, because I think that before this I was just following the classic kind of photography, the classic style of photography, and then this project pushed me to find some solution, and this solution was very close with my my life mood. I don't know how to say in English, but I mean, I discovered that I can show my feelings through the picture and through the story of the others. At the same time, I can show the life of the others, finding creative solution with pictures. So the idea of some pictures, for example, the uncle of Mash, talking with them during dinner, we realized that we had to show stronger the absence and the presence. And from that dinner came out the idea of we call that picture the invisible man. There is a man sitting on a chair. We can see clearly him. And this is the way that I would like to, the way of documentary that I would like to do in the future too. I would like to spend more time with people talking about the project and involving there in my ideas. For sure, I am the director of this project, but we can work together. Now we are a team.
Yeah, and they gave you a lot of these pictures like this of the pictures of the prisoners to use, and you had a lot of these photographs.
Yeah, hundreds of these photographs, because they really love to send pictures to their families while they are in jail, because they want to show how they are changing and how is their daily life. Or maybe or like as in the picture in the middle is Abdel Karim, the father of Majd. They try to show that the place is better, so they put some curtains on the wall showing that the jail is not so bad, so or sending a positive message to their family.
Well, we have another video coming up of images from the prisons. You had a lot of different videos from the inside of the prisons of the prisoners that we used, and we'll talk about later on some of the pages in the book, still framed from the book. So let me play this. It starts out a little loud.
منهل الزيت والسمنة أول مرة أدوق الكفتة وأول يوم 10 دقائق للأذان يا عباد الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله.
تجد كم زمان انت بتحكي له؟ مش طايم عبارة مشمار
من كل الإدارة عشان هيك أرجو إن المدير والإدارة والاستخبارات ما يدفعونا.
Really nice. So great to get a peek inside the prisons. How did you find those videos?
Some of them are provided from the prisoners club. Some I receive from the families, so it's something that they receive some videos from inside the jail. Another one is from the Israeli television, because just one time the Israel television were allowed to enter and showing something about their life. But the movie is more close to the life of the police inside the jail. But I keep some of this. And you did the same.
Yeah.
For the book.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, I just wanted to, you guys were talking about this before, but just wanted to mention how I first met Antonio. I was teaching a workshop at the PhotoLux Festival in Lucca about picture editing, and this is a scene from our class. Antonio brought his Habibi work there, and we worked on the project in the class, and this is, as Svetlana said, she was also there that weekend. This was in 2019. We had met previously in Cortona on the Move in 2017. It was not long after this that you won the FotoEvidence Book Award, and then you called me and asked me to work with you on editing the book.
Right.
And
I was really lucky because you agreed.
yeah, I was lucky that you asked me. So next, Ramon is going to walk us through some of the amazing work that he did putting this book together. passing the baton to you, Ramon.
Yeah, can you see me?
Yeah.
Yes, we do.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. We met like I was saying before. Yeah, maybe 1 or 2 years before the real start of the book. And yeah, this is one of the like I said before, one of that so universal stories and so human that when someone told to you first time seems like not real.
Mm-hmm.
And is the kind of stories that of course anybody that making my job can be, you know, excited to do. So and then Antonio had this you know, this way of want to yeah, probably happened to you too, want to, you know, create a team and have someone working with him and let that professional be part also of his creative way of finishing the story. So the first thing we did was just Antonio telling to me the story and then asking questions about also about his process, because I think in this specific story, but in general, but in this specific story, he spent a lot of time there. He's you know, it's also about not only about the people he met and but also his personal story is part of the whole thing, and the way how he met and the way how he found the story, the way how he, yeah, like he was talking about before. And so basically one of the first thing when we start really the project was asking to Antonio to dividing the whole material he had made in several different topics. So we got this idea of the surrealist movement cut up. That could be helpful for a good practice for start to generating a structure in the story, in the narrative. And yeah, what we see here, this is the back of the book, and the back of the book finish with a sentence, which is of course connected and meaningful with the rest of the story. And the cover we saw before, and the back cover for the idea we got all together with you, Sarah, and Svetlana too, through the job we did together, influenced the narrative from the first to the last page. So basically, to me, it was important and was very good, this thing with Antonio. I think he's a kind of author that understands very well the importance of this thing. FotoEvidence too, of course, and you knew that better than me already, that every step of the project, like editing, design ideas, and you know, also the last pictures Antonio wanted to create or to find, and the thing that you know, the important thing that he asked before to go in the last travel. What do you think? You know, there is something we miss in the narrative, there is in the story. There is something that you really want to see or to have there. And also the text, because there is an important text part in the book. We have a very important poem, and yeah, everything was helpful to creating you know, the whole object. So it's not a case that we start with something meaningful in the cover, which is cut out on top of an image with the, yes, the title is becoming an image, and also, well, later we explain why that cover, and also is ending with this final sentence. So this was the general idea, but we didn't have a strategy on that. It was pretty natural between us. If I remember well, when we started, was natural that every meeting was influencing, you know, the design, the editing, everything. So this sketch I found was about that call it cut-up practice technique. Cut-up technique is something created from the surrealist movement, and in specific was an artist called Tristan Tzara, but is also a technique used so much in literature and in the and also in the music. For example, works of David Bowie, Bob Dylan, and William Burroughs. They experimented this technique. So how works this technique is basically open the door to the randomness in your project. Okay, so translated to the first thing we did with Antonio, and I'm glad that he accepted to, you know, experiment in this thing. Yeah, I think was the first time I did this with an author in a book was because the project was, you know, he spent a lot of years on this story. So what I need, like a designer, was to understand him very deeply, the story, and understanding, because Antonio was part of the story, like an author, how his emotions, his feelings in that steps of the story. So we didn't start to dividing the story in a chronological way based on the story itself. But what we did was counterintuitive, was we based the first structure on what was trying to help, trying to push Antonio to remember chronologically the emotions, the feelings he had when he first time he discovered the story, then he been there. So, and the basic structure was divided in 10 points, like, okay, we need a list of 10 emotions, are your memories, basically, and in a chronological way. So very structured, you know, from the beginning to the end. And in the next picture you can see, this is the list of these emotions. We call that emotion, just for give a word.
Can you read some of those, what they are in English?
Protection in the beginning, sweetness, dolcezza, affetto is what can be. Antonio, do you remember affetto?
Love.
Maybe love. And calore, familiare was familiar, warm, and vulnerability, fragility, happiness, gioia, hope, gioia, speranza, dignity, solitude, rassegnazione, something like like giving up, and strengthness, forza. And Antonio took the time and for a few days or 1 week, focus on try to remember how was his experience. Then we made this list, and then we cut up the list and we put the stuff on the floor. And then randomly we recreate the structure. And meanwhile, what happened? Before the first one and the second structure, so in between the two structures, Antonio did divide all the images he had, so the general selection, in 10 folders, call it with that emotions names, and in a chronological way. So that was the base for structuring the visual storytelling. But of course, we didn't want to be so structured. So it was just, for some reason, I found very helpful at the beginning, be very, very, very structured, like from 1 to 10, chronological, and blah, 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 and dividing everything with numbers. And then when we put everything on the floor, we accept, we embrace the randomness. and we say, okay, let's reshuffle everything. So if you Sarah, go back, please, to in the diagram, you can see in the diagram basically how the thing works. So the A is the chronological timeline, and then because in between the two timelines is the open the door of the emotions, and we don't know what can happen in the non-linear structure, and it's not the final structure, but it's helping to to review the story with different eyes. So still your eyes, but it's not you deciding which part follow. And what do you think, Antonio? We never spoke after about how was your feeling about that. It was a bit crazy at the beginning because we had to.
I was terrified at the beginning, honestly, because I can't have, as you, I'm not able to see in the future what will happen. You know everything about a book. This is my first book, so I can't really understand what we were doing. But it was nice because it is a new challenge also for me. Also, this topic was a new challenge. So I decided to follow you, and it was great.
Yeah. It's such a different approach than sort of a traditional, like you say, chronological journalistic approach, which I think freed up a lot of space for trying things and being more experimental.
Yeah, exactly. And he did very well. What I needed, like designer, to understanding the story was he reconnect with the emotions, past emotions, and because when you are an author and you finish the story, then it's different approach. So I wanted him to back to that time, try to trigger him in that way, and he did very, very good. And then yeah, to be honest, it's not helpful to, but I couldn't say that to Antonio at that time because it was a lot of work. It was back to all the pictures and redividing everything in categories. But I couldn't say that to Antonio at that time because, of course, otherwise the game was not working. But was probably, I don't think that generated the final sequence. No. Was important for.
Yeah, this is not the final.
Yeah, was very important to other reasons. Yeah, to make the team into the story, and also to see what happened when you just leave. A wind entering from the door and just destroy all your sequence and see maybe sometimes it's better, or you discover connection between the things that surprising you. And this sequence is one of the first ideas in the way to how to put the poem. So we had that bridges, you can see our gray pages. Actually here in this diagram there is only the first one, page 19. We had the idea to have an insert, and that insert dividing few times the book in different in different parts, and there in this kind of bridges or separators, in there is the poem. So we had this good point that Antonio can explain better than me, where came from the poem. And we started thinking, maybe, that's good, but how to put in the book that poem. And this was one of the first solutions that after we changed. Maybe it's good to tell how we, how Antonio found that poem.
I found the poem. I thought about what could go into the book as text, and I found a lot of different Palestinian poems, and this was one of them. And I remember sending you guys several poems to look at, and then we all found this one. The one poem that we used was by Taha Muhammad Ali, who's a famous Palestinian poet. And it's a poem called Revenge, but it's really about forgiveness. And it's a really amazing poem that worked so well with Antonio's photos. It's beautiful.
Yeah. Sorry, I forget that because we met after the poem was arriving. Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was perfectly working. And yeah, in this sketch, this is about the cover. But the cover in general is something that well, there is not a rule, but usually I'm doing separately from the in parallel. You know, you're working on the inside book, on the sequence together, and then step by step, the more information you get from the photo editor, the author, the story, and the more, you know, is helping to having ideas for the cover. And yeah, like before, this came from you know, stories that Antonio told me about. I was very curious about how it was to be there. Actually, I don't remember well, but probably once we spoke about going together there. So I really want to take a flight and go to see the place there. But the you know, the way how Antonio explained to me the story was already enough vivid and clear, you know. And so basically, one of the strong ideas I got from the talks we had and the images he made was about these prisons. The prisons really, you know, far in the nowhere, and it was very complicated even for him to have accessibility to the prisons. So I remember we spoke about that, if we can have more pictures, because the pictures are coming from the inside of the prison, and that is one of the good visual parts of the book, are because Antonio have that, because, you know, have a good connection with the families, the prisoners. So he got that material, and that material is pretty good because they still communicate, you know, they still, you know, pass the things through the outside and inside of the prison. And I remember, Antonio, if you remember, we had a conversation about, you was asking what was the, you know, what I was thinking about the photo of the prison in the book, because it was complicated to go there, but inside was very complicated, but also close to the prison was not easy. And so that, you know, came back to my head, and I thought about, was one of the good suggestions that our talks gave to me. And I start to sketch up about how we can represent in that thing, like the thing that, you know, through holes and this, how I call, loopholes on barriers, grates, you know, the concept of be limit into a concrete building and you can get outside, how you see the, you know, the light coming from outside, was a good idea for the cover. So the A sketch on the top of this page is about having these holes, you know, the concrete building having all everything these holes, because it's like the stamp made for you know, in metal, made for creating the modules. Then the second sketch is, you know, just this idea of how was from the picture I saw and the talks and the stories from Antonio, the idea of how was that place. And then and the B, so is the third, is the second from the bottom. Another idea was to having this just die cuts on the cover that can let you see maybe a face or an identity. Probably was maybe too banal, too direct. And then the last one, the first from the bottom, is the final idea. So is that a baby is making, you know, generating the idea of the prison, of the walls with the, you know, with the holes.
So I know that we're running out of time. I hope we can go a little bit over here, so we might just have to pick up.
This was the image that suggests to me all that stuff. So
Yeah.
these are the image that, and in this case is in the page, and then together we understand that was a good idea to having, you know, on this transparent paper, these images on top of the part of the poem. So having again this idea of inside, outside. And yeah, this is one of the prisons, right? And then, but Antonio, do you want to add something on that? For me, it was important, that part of the process, because was really coming from the conversation and what you know share with me about your experience there.
Yeah, we talk about it many times for long, because it's almost impossible to have the permission to enter inside, but also it's very complicated reaching the jail. Also, spending time outside the jail is really complicated, because after 2 minutes, the military soldiers every time came to me, "What are you doing here?" And I had to show. At that time, I had the Israeli press card, so they leave me. They leave me alone there, but. Talking with other journalists or photographers, sometimes you can have big trouble staying there. And we talk about it many times, also about the chance to show through the picture they took by themselves inside the jail with illegal smartphone in jail. And we have a lot of these kind of pictures they did by themselves. So we discussed about this, if was good or not using this picture, and what is the meaning of this picture. I think this helped you to find the idea of the cover and this transparent page.
Yeah, definitely. That just came from your stories and your pictures. Sorry, Sarah, if you go back just 1 second on that last image, that is one of my favorite parts. Yeah, that is one of my favorite pages of the book, because it's definitely came in from what Antonio shared with us, you know. So the thing we can see here is, but we can see better later, is a portrait of someone in the cell, in the prison, printed in this tracing paper with transparency, and you can read the poem we put in that prison cell pages, or or bridges pages. And yeah, it was to me, yeah, really translation of this was the idea of these prison cells pages. So which is 4 times in the book. Yeah, another good topic was the absence, because of course you have separation, these families are separated, but also you never can really see these people, because the images Antonio received are from phones, very low quality. It's also difficult to understand who they are, and also there is this energy to try to show outside, we are alive, we're doing these things. And it's not also, it's about a lot of things forcing that to arrive outside the prison, from the sperm to your image identity. And sorry, if you go back just 1 second on the previous, yeah. So here, the ghost paper, we decide on the end, after a lot of tests with you, Sarah, Antonio, Svetlana, to having, the poem connected in this, with these ghost images. And
here we started out with
exactly
seeing the real photos, like clearly and in color, in a group to show all the prisoners.
Exactly.
And then we evolved it to black and white and making them more transparent.
Yeah.
And there's like a huge evolution about those pages. I remember.
Yeah, it was very important. Was the king of the project. And yeah, you can see here. No, you have the poem, page 15. This is part of the book. You have the poem, and in transparency, printed you know, the prisoners, the people who is in
Yeah.
prison now.
And this version was one where we had objects that the prisoners had made that we paired with the portraits. But then we decided not to use the objects. And there's also graffiti on walls. And we ended up using the prisoners with the stills from the videos.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, Antonio have some good references on printed photos on tracing paper. So he had a clear idea of, he loved that effect from before we started on that. That is also good, you know, when you have a visual research. So an author that is, you know, love books and love to go to see, you know, get ideas from other stuff. And then basically, these are the photos that inspired me to, you know, exploring more in that direction. This is one of my favorites. Is about the absence, of course. So I remember the beginning of the sequencing. We were speaking also about you know, having a radical choices of never show men in these printed pages, but the men are only in the tracing paper. So having a really radical code, narrative code, like only women and kids in these white pages. And then, but yeah, probably sometimes it's not be so radical. It's not necessary, or be too literal. And yeah, this is of course again about absence in another way. You know, this you spoke together before about this, and yeah, is another photo of Antonio that inspired me on that direction. And these are the final image of the final solution in the book, poem, and the man printed on tracing paper, this ghost presence.
Yeah, I think that the story is a love story, but it's also like a ghost story, you know, because it's as much about the love of the families trying to stay together. It's also about the absence of these important members of the family.
Yeah, to me it was important, that idea of you know, maybe sometimes the you know, the absence is more, could be more presence than the real presence, of course. You know, and in this story, is pretty strong, that concept.
You did a great job.
Yes, you did a beautiful job, Ramon. Everybody, it was a wonderful project.
All together, because thanks so much. But yeah, it was really one of my favorite teamworks. You know, team process. So it was very good to. I think we share very good, you know, the ideas and.
So just another little story. The book was eventually printed in Turkey. It was right before the pandemic hit Europe and all the borders were closed. Svetlana, you were the only one able to go on press. You went on press and got it done in the nick of time.
Yeah, I left France direction Istanbul to print the book in the beginning of February. It was the beginning of the pandemic. Nobody knew what's going to happen. Nobody knew the scale of what's coming. So I arrived in Istanbul at Offsetya Pimevi, which is my favorite printing house, where FotoEvidence prints books from 10 years. The project, I mean, the design was pretty complex, and they did great care of this. So we had the book printed. I was happy with what we have, and I head back. When I arrived back to France, the borders were closed. So I kind of intend to believe that probably Habibi was the last printed book before the pandemic shut the world.
Yeah.
I
remember that.
I have a little video here of Antonio paging through the book, which it's our last piece, and I'll just have that play while we continue to talk. So Antonio, there's a little story around when you finally received your box of books. Can you tell about when you received the books and what it was like when you saw the book for the first time?
This is a funny story because I received 4 or 5 boxes full of books, but the first one I keep out, maybe for the traveling, for something that happened, but we can't know what happened. When I opened it, it was completely yellow and strange. Something changed the quality of the print and the paper. So I was thinking that all the books were like this. I was so stressed about it. So I closed the book, and for 1 week I didn't open more.
2 weeks, Antonio.
2 weeks.
2 weeks. I was waiting to hear what do you think about the book. 2 weeks.
Yeah. But then I discovered that this is the only one in that condition. I think I put it in the trash. I don't think I have any more.
You should have saved it. It's a collector's item now, the destroyed book. It's a good one to keep.
Yeah.
So, Antonio, do you think this project is finished now with the book and the
I think
award?
it's finished, but my idea is that this project is divided in 3 steps. So the first one is the childhood. So there's a story about these children and how, and the special way they birth. But now I would like to go on telling the story of Maj during the teenager and the adult life until he will be a father. So how he's growing up in a conflict area, and I hope he will find a different solution, peaceful solution. Maybe will be a cultural fighter. Maybe he will fight with his mind. This is my hope. And I think it's probably the real, because his family is trying to grow up him in this way.
Do you feel like you learned something important while working on this project in the book?
Can you repeat? Sorry, because there is the audio of the
Music. Yeah. What did you learn from working on this project in the book personally?
I understood many things working on this project, changed my life, because before I was just a boy, now I'm a man. And making this project, I understood that in some ways those children represent myself, because I had a beautiful relation with my mother and my grandmother, but my mother had a lot of problems, physical problems with health. And in some ways I lost something when I was too young. The picture inside the bus where Lydia is hugging Maj. In that moment I realized that the feeling of Maj, I was looking this